Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome and thank you so much for tuning in. I am Abra Kurt, a certified integrative life and wellness coach and lifestyle designer, and you are watching Sparked. Sparked is my weekly lifestyle series and its own vibrant online community that meets right here in the comments of the show. And every single week, we light fires and reflect, connect, and get inspired about all things personal growth, wellness, and the world around us. So if you're a dreamer, a doer, or just anyone looking for a more meaningful, fulfilling, or joyful life, you are in the right place, my friend. So like Vicky and Trish, please say hi and start connecting. It is so great to see you ladies here tonight. Thank you for being here, Mama Vicky. Trish is here. Trish and Vicky in the house. Thank you so much. Everyone, as you're hopping on, please say hi and let me know you're here and start connecting in the comments of the show. This is going to be interactive, so I will ask people to share some thoughts and answer some questions in the comments. We're also going to play a little bit of trivia later on in the show. So I will share in just a bit about all the things that are in store for us tonight. Hi, Donna. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Monday. It is great to see you. In just a minute, we'll talk about all the things that we have in store for tonight, but also as people are hopping on, I want to share that there are also in the description of the show links to support our content and community. And of course, we keep this show going every week. We write new, original, inspiring, hopefully, and useful to you all content and information that allows you to take action in your own lives. And we love to get contributions to help us support this show. And each week, hey babe, it's great to see you. Thanks for hopping on tonight too. And every single week, we pay that love forward with a 10% contribution to a charity doing important work in our local communities or across the country. So I'll share a little bit more about this week's charity later on in the show. But if you are so inspired, there are links in the show description to support our content and community, and it is so, so greatly appreciated. And before we dive in tonight, I want to thank some very special people who supported our show over the past week. I want to say thank you to my dear friend Donna, my sweet mother-in-law Vicky, my cousin Georgie, my dear friend Dana, and my dear friend Rose, who have contributed and supported our content and community over the past week. So thank you again. It is very much appreciated. All right, you guys, tonight's show is all about Thanksgiving Reimagined. Thanksgiving Reimagined. Hi, Georgie. It is so great to see you here. Thank you so much for being on tonight. Tonight, we're talking about Thanksgiving Reimagined. And before we dive in, I just want to say one thing, and that is Thanksgiving is not canceled. Thanksgiving is not canceled. It may look different for many, if not most of us this year, but let's please not talk about Thanksgiving being canceled, because Thanksgiving is still going to happen this year, y'all. Thanksgiving is still going to happen, and we are here tonight to talk about how to still make it as special and memorable and as fun as possible, given the climate that we are all living in 2020. Okay, so Thanksgiving isn't canceled. We are going to talk about how to make it fun and memorable and keep it safe so that hopefully we can all come back together again next year when the climate looks a little bit different and better than it does right now. Okay, so if all that sounds like a heck yeah to you, please send up some hearts for reimagining Thanksgiving, for still bringing the fun, and for celebrating safely and coming back together to do it all again next year. So yes, let's send up some hearts for reimagining Thanksgiving, for celebrating safely, and for the content that we're going to talk about tonight. So here is what we are going to talk about. All right. we're going to give some tips and some inspirational ideas for how to still make the most of it. How to still make the most of it, you guys, because there are so many things we can do. Even if we're not gathering in the same way we always have, there are so many ways that we can keep our traditions alive, maybe start some new ones, and still celebrate and bring the fun. So I'm going to share some tips and resources for doing just that. We're going to play a few rounds of Thanksgiving trivia. I have some super fun trivia questions planned for you guys. And I'm going to also share the latest CDC Thanksgiving holiday guidelines, you guys, because I think it's important that we all know what the science is telling us to do, what the public health officials are suggesting for how we celebrate this holiday this year. So the latest CDC Thanksgiving holiday guidelines, and I'm even going to share my signature Thanksgiving side, my Cranberry Bourbon Compote, my signature Thanksgiving dinner side dish. So please send up some hearts for all those things. Yes, Scott says Thanksgiving is not canceled. Not canceled. Yes, let's send up some hearts for not canceling Thanksgiving, for bringing the fun, for having as much fun as possible. All right. And if I can ask you to do one more favor, if you could hit that share button, just hit that share button. Let's spread some of these good Thanksgiving vibes to other people in our social media feeds. Let them know we're not canceling Thanksgiving this year, guys. We are still going to bring the fun. We are going to share our ideas. We're going to share our inspiration. We're going to share some traditions here in just a minute and give some people some new ideas and help us all reimagine what Thanksgiving can look like this year and still be super fun, memorable. All right. So please hit that share button, send up some hearts for Thanksgiving Reimagined, and let's dive into tonight's show. And you know what that means. Scott says, the share button has been smashed. Thank you so much, babe. Donna loves the Cranberry Bourbon Compote. Yes, Donna has been able to sample that in person. And speaking of reimagining Thanksgiving, y'all, I've had to think about this a lot because one of the things I love about Thanksgiving is having a table full of friends and family. And this year it is going to look different in our house as well. So I am not only, sharing these tips and thoughts with you, but I am practicing what I preach this year. And I'm going to miss some dear friends like Donna, who are normally seated around my table at the holidays this year. But we are still going to share our love and share our traditions and find some ways to celebrate safely and memorably. All right, you guys. What's the first thing we do here on Sparked before we dive into our content? That's right. It's time for, I know Scott knows this, I know Donna knows this, I know Georgie knows this, I know Vicky knows this, I know Trish knows this. It's time for the quote of the week. The quote of the week. And you guys know I love to share inspiring words from authors and philosophers and celebrities that relate to our weekly theme. And this week's quote comes from a philosopher and a writer who I have admired for years and whose footsteps I traveled in actually on a solo vacation I took several years ago. And this year's quote of the week is from Henry David Thoreau. And yeah, I visited Walden Pond on a solo trip to Concord, Massachusetts back in 2009, actually, 2009, 3 years before Scott and I got married. And it was a wonderful, wonderful trip. And to spend time at Walden Pond and in the beautiful natural setting that inspired Thoreau and so many of the New England philosophers so much. It was amazing. Trish says, quote of the week. Yes. Scott, quote. Yes. Georgie, quote. Yes. All right. So Henry David Thoreau has some wise words for us as we kick off our Thanksgiving Reimagined show. And he says, I am grateful for what I am and what I have. My Thanksgiving is perpetual. I am grateful for who I am and what I have. My Thanksgiving is perpetual. So Henry David is essentially telling us that a thankful, grateful heart is something we can have all the time, if we're grateful for who we are and what we have. Our Thanksgiving is constant and ongoing, right? And it shouldn't just be one day of the year anyway, right? You guys, that's part of reimagining this holiday, is that we carry our gratitude and our blessings in our heart all year round, right? It's almost like the Christmas carol, right? Carrying the spirit of holidays in our hearts all year round, right? So let's send up some hearts for perpetual Thanksgiving, for being grateful for who we are and what we have, more than just one day a year or 1 month a year, like those 30 days of gratitude challenges that we often see on the internet this time of year, right? So let's send up some hearts for some perpetual Thanksgiving, loving who we are, what we have, being grateful for it all year round. And for Henry David Thoreau's wise words for our quote of the week to kick off our Thanksgiving Reimagined episode. All right. Thank you guys. I love seeing those hearts. All right. So let's dive in. Before I get to the content, I want to ask you guys to inspire me a little bit and share one of your favorite Thanksgiving traditions in the comments. Let me know what is one of your favorite Thanksgiving traditions. Please share in the comments. I can't wait to see how y'all love to celebrate Thanksgiving in your homes and with your families, or with yourselves, or with a loved one, or however you celebrate. Let me know one of your favorite ways to celebrate Thanksgiving in the comments and why you guys are doing that. Vicky says, I am grateful and thankful for what I have 365 days a year. Yes, Vicky, I love that. And heart right back to you. Let's send up some hearts for Vicky. 365 days of gratitude, you guys. That is what it is all about. That is what it is all about. And that's why, one of the many, many reasons why I love her so very much. All right, you guys, let me know your favorite ways to celebrate one of your favorite traditions for Thanksgiving in the comments. While you guys are typing away, I'm going to share one of mine. And this has been a favorite tradition of mine since I was just yay high and a little kid, okay? And that is because, my diet has changed over the years. Like, I used to eat turkey when I was a kid, and now I'm a pescatarian, so I only eat fish and shellfish, and I don't eat meat, and I don't eat turkey anymore. So, my eating habits have changed over the years. Things I like to do on Thanksgiving Day, who I celebrate it with, how I celebrate it. All those things have looked different over the years, but one thing in my life has remained constant, and that is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Yes, Donna says she and her mom always used to watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade while prepping the meal. Scott says cooking turkey and also tofurkey. Yes, I have brought tofurkey into Scott's life, and I'm sure he's forever grateful for that. So a lot of Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade watchers out there, and that has been such a tradition, a beloved tradition of mine, that we even have a fur baby in our family named Macy because we rescued her on Thanksgiving Day. So she was named after the parade that I was watching on TV while Scott was plucking her out of the snow and bringing her into our lives on Thanksgiving Day. So let's hear it for the Macy's Parade. Let's hear it for all of our cooking traditions. Let's hear it for 365 days of gratitude, and send up some hearts. Vicky says, with the exception of this year, her sons and daughters-in-law around her dining room table. Yes, that has become a favorite tradition of mine as well. And we will still find some meaningful ways to get some FaceTime with each other, even if it's on a screen this year for the holidays. Trish says homemade ambrosia cranberry fruit salad and her grandchildren watching the parade. That sounds delicious and super fun, Trish. Vicky says, yes, Macy. Yes, our sweet little fur baby Macy has been with us for about, 6 years now. I think 2014 is when she came to us. So, yes, 6 years ago on Thanksgiving Day. So we celebrate her adopt-iversary every year on Thanksgiving Day while we watch the parade again. So thank you guys for sharing your traditions with me. I love reading how we celebrate differently in all of our different households and families. And I also want to say that, my favorite tradition has also been reimagined this year. Vicky says her grandchildren come over and help her make the stuffing. Everyone has their jobs. Yes, everyone has a role to play, right? Lots of laughing stories and lots of memories. That sounds so much fun. And I bet your house is just filled with love and laughter all the time, 365 days a year. But that sounds even more special. So, you guys, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is one of the many traditions that is being reimagined this year. Okay, so we all know they do the live parade up and down the streets of New York around Herald Square, right? Starts at Macy's, and is the streets are filled with spectators and people lining the streets to catch a glimpse of the parade, the performances, those big balloons. And this year, to pull that off safely is just not possible. So the people at Macy's still want to keep us all entertained. They want to keep our traditions alive. They want to keep the fun flowing. So they have reimagined their own nearly 100-year-old tradition of the Thanksgiving Day Parade. And they are still going to bring some fun to our television screens and our Thanksgiving days this year with a 3-hour television special. And there's still going to be musical performances, theatrical performances, special guests. I'm looking forward to seeing a performance from Hamilton. Of course, the Radio City Rockettes that participate in the parade every year. Jimmy Fallon and the Roots from The Tonight Show. The Big Apple Circus, y'all. One of my favorite performers of all time and the namesake of another kitty of ours, Dolly Parton, is going to be part of this year's Macy's special. And of course, a special star appearance by the big man himself, Santa Claus. So, if Macy's can reimagine something like a ginormous New York City Thanksgiving Day Parade, we can all reimagine what our celebrations may look like as well and still bring the fun and, sense of joy and wonder and memories, and maybe even start a new tradition or two in the process. So, I want to ask you guys the very first trivia question of the night, and it is also related to my favorite tradition and Donna's, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Okay, this is our first trivia question of the night, and it's about the Macy's Parade. So, you guys, put your guesses in the comments, and the question is, what cartoon character was the first ever giant balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? What cartoon character was the first ever giant balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? Share your guesses in the comments, and I will give you guys the answer and let you know if you're correct in a couple minutes. But first, while you guys are guessing who the first cartoon character was to appear as a giant balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, I'm going to share the latest CDC Thanksgiving holiday guidelines, you guys, because I think it's important that we're all on the same page with what the science is telling us, with what the public health officials are saying is the recommended way to celebrate the holiday this year. So, lots of guesses coming up already. Underdog, I see some Snoopies. I see Woody Woodpecker. Great guesses, you guys. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. All right, great guesses. I will share the answer in a minute. But first, I want to share the most recent CDC Thanksgiving holiday guidelines. And as of, hot off the presses, y'all, they are still saying the safest way to celebrate this year is to stay at home and celebrate with just those people in our own households. I know. Thanksgiving isn't canceled though, you guys. Thanksgiving is not canceled, even if that is what the CDC is recommending. Okay, we can still celebrate the holiday this way this year. It's 1 year. It's 1 year, right? That's the safest way, to stay home and celebrate only with folks in our own households. Okay, that is what they recommend. I see another guess for Goofy, for Pluto. All right, keep them coming, you guys. I'm going to share this. No one has gotten it yet. None of these guesses, that are great guesses, but none of them are correct. So keep guessing, and I'm going to share the answer in just a minute. But even if we decide that, we're going to expand our Thanksgiving circle this year, they do have some guidelines for how to keep it as safe as possible. So the number one suggestion is to try to dine outdoors if possible. To try to dine outdoors if possible. Now, my book club just met in person on Sunday, and we met outside, and we are here in Northern Virginia, so it's a little bit more possible here than it may be in other parts of the country. We still had a fire pit and a big old, stand-up heater, and it was BYOB, bring your own blanket, but it worked. It worked, right, you guys? So it's possible in many parts of the country to still dine outside comfortably at this time of the year. So if we are not going to stay home, if we are not going to only celebrate with people in our own households, try to celebrate outside. To set a big old table outside and celebrate that way. All right, so let's see. We got a couple more guesses here. We've got Scooby-Doo, Pluto, Mickey Mouse. A couple Mickey Mouses. The turkey. Oh, that's a good one, Trish. How about Kermit the Frog? All right, you guys, great guesses. Great guesses. None of them are correct, though. So I am going to share that the cartoon character that was the first giant balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was Felix the Cat. Felix the Cat, which was an old-timey cartoon. I don't think Felix the Cat appears in any of the, newspapers or any of the modern day comic strips. If I'm wrong, let me know, but I haven't seen a Felix the Cat comic strip. There hasn't been like a vintage reproduction ever. So yeah, you guys, the answer to the first trivia question is Felix the Cat. And he appeared, the first giant balloon, in 1927. 1927, you guys. And that was the third year of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. The parade started in 1924. No giant balloons, lots of marching bands and performances and things like that. But no giant balloons until Felix the Cat in 1927. And Felix the Cat, of course, it's a cat. Cats are awesome. So the first giant balloon was a cat. I love that. Don says that was his next guess. Vicky says, oh my gosh, how many years ago? Yeah, 1927. Y'all, 1927, and the very first parade was in 1924. So yeah, they were making giant balloons all the way back then. I mean, I guess it's like the technology sort of like, I don't know, maybe this isn't accurate, but like the, dirigibles and blimps and things like that. I mean, just scale it down and make a Felix the Cat balloon, right? All right, you guys. Continuing on with the CDC guidelines. So eating outside is the number one suggestion if we are still going to combine households, not stay at home, to try to eat outside. They also recommend if we're going to celebrate with others outside of our own households, that they recommend that people bring their own utensils, their own plates and utensils, and their own food if possible. Okay, so there's not cross-contamination, there's not sharing, that people stay out of the kitchen where food is being prepped, that, that sort of area is kept, as off limits as possible, and that if possible, people bring their own utensils and their own food and beverages. And of course, that everyone wears a mask and social distances as much as possible. And of course, the hand washing and hand sanitizer constantly. And that goes for people who decide to travel as well, maintaining that social distance. They recommend at least a 3-ply mask, you guys, if we're going to be traveling and celebrating with folks outside of our own household bubbles. 3-ply masks, social distancing, and oodles of hand washing and hand sanitizer. Donna says, yeah, seriously, old school. Yeah. With Felix the Cat. Trish says, one person serving all the food. Absolutely. Keep the chain of handling things as small as possible and as safe as possible, you guys. So those are the latest CDC guidelines. Stay home, stay in our own household bubbles if possible. If we're still going to celebrate with other households and other family members and friends, try to dine outside if it's possible. The stand-up heaters are available, fire pits, bring your own blankets, all those goodies, right? They can be fun and cozy too. If we're going to do it inside, masks, social distancing, all the things, right? Okay, we all know the drills, but let's not be lax in those things, right? Okay, time for the second trivia question of the night. I have to say, I'm a little bit surprised that no one in the comments, when I asked about a favorite holiday tradition, no one said watching NFL football. Now, it's not one of my favorite traditions by any means, but pretty much every year since Scott and I have been together, a football game has come on the TV screen at some point after the Macy's parade is over. There's a football game on the TV. So I'm surprised no one said watching football as one of the favorite traditions, or maybe it is, but other things came to mind first. But this question is about watching football on Thanksgiving. And the trivia question is, what NFL team started that tradition of televised football on Thanksgiving Day? My husband is like the king of trivia, and especially sports trivia. Like, I don't know any sports trivia questions. When we play Trivial Pursuit, I like always save that piece of pie until the very end, and I usually only know it because it's like sports and leisure. So if it's like leisure and not sports, but like I just don't know those things. Trish says yes, watching football. Vicky's going to Steve and Janine's, my brother and sister-in-law's house for Thanksgiving. Just the three of them. Yes, very safe. Scott says watching football is just a given. Yeah. Okay, you guys. So what NFL team started that tradition of televised football on Thanksgiving Day? That is trivia question number 2. Trish says Dallas Cowboys. Scott won't answer because he knows the answer and doesn't want to spoil it for everybody else. But keep those guesses coming. Georgie says that they all decided to cook their own Thanksgiving dinner. She and her husband Dave will be alone, but she is making each of her kids their favorite dish. Georgie, I love that. And that just speaks to your sweet heart. And I love that. See, there are so many ways we can reimagine this holiday, keep our traditions alive, and stay safe as well. So, yeah, keep them coming. All right, Nico, hey, it's great to see you. I didn't even know that you were on here. It's so great to see you. Nico says Detroit Lions. Trish says Dallas Cowboys. All right, does anybody have any other guesses? I'm going to give you another minute or two to keep those guesses coming. I will say, maybe one of the answers is right, but if anybody has any other guesses and you want to share, please do. In the meantime, though, we are at almost the top of the hour, and it's time for the moment of joy. The moment of joy for this week's episode is also all about Thanksgiving Reimagined. So while you guys slip in your last couple of guesses on the NFL team that started the televised Thanksgiving Day game tradition, I want to share this week's moment of joy. And this is like really just makes my heart like swell 3 sizes, you guys. And this story is from our own backyard here where Scott and I live in Northern Virginia. For those others of us who are on the show tonight, I know Nico is local. I know Donna and Don are local. I know Trish is local to the DC, Maryland, and Virginia suburb region. And this one, you guys, is from our own backyard. Okay, so moment of joy this week. There's a restaurant chain in the DMV, and that's not Department of Motor Vehicles. That's what they call DC, Maryland, Virginia when we're local here for folks that are local. So we call it in the DMV. So there's a restaurant chain in the DMV, you guys, called Medium Rare. It's a steak frites restaurant. And for Thanksgiving this year, they're expanding their efforts to help local residents during the COVID pandemic, pledging to deliver free Thanksgiving meals to elderly residents who will be spending the holiday alone. But you guys, not just that, this is like not the first time they've done something like this. All right, you guys, Medium Rare has locations. They have a location in each one of they have DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So they have local restaurants that can dispatch these meals out all across the region. The free Thanksgiving Day meals are just the latest in their months-long campaign to feed vulnerable residents and first responders during this health crisis. Donna says she and Don love medium rare. Georgie threw in a guess of the 49ers. All right, the answer will be coming up soon. Yes, you guys, let's send up some hearts for medium rare, because this story, you guys, just makes my heart so, so warm. All right. The Thanksgiving meals are not their first rodeo, y'all, not their first rodeo. Back in March, when the pandemic started, Medium Rare announced that they would send free meals to any quarantined local resident over the age of 70 who reached out to them. Since that time, they have literally sent thousands of free meals to local first responders and senior citizens. And in May, the restaurant announced that they would deliver free Mother's Day brunches to any mother or grandmother over the age of 70 who is celebrating the day alone. You guys, let's send up some hearts for Medium Rare for taking care of our seniors who are all alone on these holidays, and being safe so that they can be with us next year. Medium Rare, you guys, what a great story. And I'm going to share this story in the show notes that will go live tomorrow. There's an email address for those of us who are local. If we know anyone who fits the criteria and will be spending Thanksgiving alone, there is an email address, which is secret sauce me at mediumrarerestaurant.com, and just send them your name, address, and cell phone number, and the name and address of the person that you are nominating for the free meal. And they are going to deliver, thousands more free meals to vulnerable local citizens by the time this thing is over, you guys. So big hearts, big shout out from Medium Rare. I love local businesses who do that kind of good in the community and step up when people need it. And I know that's local here to the DC area, but y'all who aren't local, if you know anyone in your local communities who may also fit that criteria, I bet this isn't just a thing that's happening here in DC. I bet there are restaurants doing this all over the country. Probably just a Google search or a look through some of your, maybe local media or social media. And if you know anyone like this in your local community, I bet there are businesses out there just like Medium Rare who are doing this all over the country. No one should be without a way to celebrate and have a good hot meal on this holiday. All right, you guys, let's hear it from Medium Rare one last time. All right, so we had a couple guesses for the NFL team that started the televised Thanksgiving Day game tradition. Scott recused himself from this round. Trish said Dallas Cowboys. Nico says the Lions, Detroit Lions, and Georgie says the 49ers. All right, one of you is correct. And the correct answer is the Detroit Lions. So Nico, congratulations. Yes, it was the Detroit Lions, you guys. And again, this was a big surprise for me. All the way back in 1934. And I Googled it like 3 times because I wrote it down for the show script, and I was like, that can't be right. 1934? Like, who had TVs in 1934? So then I Googled, when did people start buying televisions? And the answer to that was the first commercially sold television was in 1941. So I don't know to whom they were televising this in 1934, but I did read that NBC, the television network NBC, televised this game nationally in 1934. And bonus points to anyone who knows the team they played against. If anyone wants to throw a guess out for the team they played against that year, all the way back in 1934. And because the first commercial television was not sold until 1941, like I said, I don't know where they were televising this game. If anybody knows that, let me know. But I know just in, my silly fantasy of what that looked like, I'm picturing all these old-timey, sports fans, in these little old-timey sports bars, and the antique cars all pulling up, and people I don't know, watching I don't know, where did people go to watch televised football in 1934? Somebody give me the answer. Okay. So we had our moment of joy. Yes. Donna says about medium rare, they started ordering from medium rare in the spring when she read about the good things they were doing. They've been doing takeout from them almost weekly because it is also delicious. The secret steak sauce is yummy. All right. Let's hear it one more time for medium rare. You guys, local businesses who step up for their communities just have a special place in my heart. And I'm going to say, yeah, Nico is on her sports trivia tonight. Nico, when the pandemic is over and we start doing trivia nights out at pubs again, I want you on my team because you are correct. It was the Chicago Bears who played the Detroit Lions in the first nationally televised football game on Thanksgiving Day in 1934. I don't know. I just can't wrap my head around that, you guys. My mom wasn't even born yet. And I don't know where people were watching football in 1934, but it was the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions, and Nico is correct on both answers. So let's send up some hearts for Nico and her sports trivia skills, y'all. She is going to be on my team for pub trivia when this is all over. All right. So I promised that we would also talk about some tips and resources. Yeah, Vicky says we're going to have to go there on her next trip to visit. We absolutely will. That is going on my list. And I don't know where the local Northern Virginia restaurant is, but we are going to check that out. Nika says she'll be there. I will hold you to that, my friend. Pub trivia in our future. All right. I promised I was going to share some tips and resources for how to reimagine Thanksgiving this year in our own celebrations, to still have fun with it, to still maybe start a new tradition or two of our own, and to carry forward the traditions that we always loved about this holiday in previous years, right? So I'm going to share some tips and resources about reimagining Thanksgiving right now. And I want to start with talking about what it is that many of us, have said that we miss or that we want to get back to over these past few months, right? I've heard this phrase so many times that I actually did a whole show about it earlier in the pandemic, and that's the word normal. And I did a whole show literally called There's No Such Thing as Normal, because I wanted us all to just throw out this need to hold fast to the idea that something has to look and feel the same, because I feel like that can keep us stuck, that can contribute in many ways to the frustration or the unhappiness or the dissatisfaction or the unwillingness to reimagine how to move forward under the circumstances that we're all living in, right? If we feel like we have to hold on to this concept of what's normal. So I want to ask for anyone who's watching who does feel that loss of normal, right? Who does say like, we just want things to go back to normal. I want to actually dig a little deeper than the word normal, because there's really something more than normal, right? What does normal mean? What is it that we actually miss and are longing for? And I had a really long conversation with my husband about this last week as we were talking about this, and I was getting my thoughts together for the show. And what it comes down to, and I looked back through an old show, I looked back when we did the There's No Such Thing as Normal show, because I asked the question, what does normal mean to you, of the audience at the show that night? And people said, what's comfortable, things that can be expected, a routine, right? That's what normal meant to a lot of people. Trish says medium rares in Arlington. It's a little bit out of the way from us, but we will, when, things get takeout the steaks would not be super great by the time we got them home here where we live in Loudoun County, but that will be a destination at some point. Thank you for sharing that, Trish. So what we really miss isn't normal, right? It's the emotions associated with what we think of as a normal activity. What we really are missing is that comfort, is that familiarity, is that predictability, right? That's what we're missing. Normal is just the word we use to describe those emotions, but those are the emotions, right? Those are the things that are all wrapped up in a big table full of family at Thanksgiving, at traveling, at, going out to pub trivia, right? At watching live concerts, at watching live sporting events, right? Those are the emotions, the comfort, the familiarity, the predictability, right? So if it's those emotions that we're missing and craving, what do those things represent for us around this holiday in particular? Because that's what we're talking about tonight, Thanksgiving, right? What's comfortable, what's familiar, what's predictable about the holiday for us that we might be missing this year? And I know for most of us who are reimagining what this holiday will look like, it's probably that table full of friends and family, right? I know that seems to be true for most of us who are here live tonight in the comments. There are still so many ways that we can connect to our loved ones, to our friends and family on the holiday and all through this pandemic, right? And I know we have screen fatigue, you guys. I know we do, but it's better than nothing. And the science is suggesting that that's the safest thing for us right now. So we can do the FaceTime. We can do, I'm going to make another suggestion in a minute about a virtual dinner party. But there are still so many ways that we can still see each other's faces and, talk about the things that we're grateful for about each other and say our I love yous and do all of those things and still make them meaningful and memorable if it's that piece that we're missing. Donna is sharing some more physical descriptions of where the medium rare is in Northern Virginia. All right, I'm going to be taking notes on this. All right, you guys. So I just wanted to go to that place of if we're missing normal, what does normal represent for us as it relates to this holiday, right? What's the familiar? What's the comfortable? What's the predictable thing? And how can we bring that into what our holiday looks like this year, right? I mean, maybe for some of us, it's, watching football with, our dads or our fathers-in-law or our brothers or our sisters or our best friends, or maybe it's the whole family getting together and everybody has a job in the meal prep, or maybe it's just like, waking up in the morning and you're still sleepy and you're still in your PJs and everybody just like piles on the sofa and watches the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade together. Like, whatever those traditions are, we can still find ways to carry them forward this year in our own celebrations. We can still watch the Macy's Reimagined Thanksgiving special on TV, right? We can still make those comfort foods or make a menu that reflects, maybe that predictability, that what we want our Thanksgiving meals to look like. We can still make those things real and make those things possible in our reimagined celebrations this year. So for anyone who's craving that comfort and familiarity, I would ask that you think about what those specifics are and think about how can you make them happen anyway? How can you make them happen in the circumstances that we're all working in this year, right? Okay, tip number 2. All right. And this goes back to our moment of joy for the week. And I know ways that many of us celebrate this holiday anyway. And this isn't necessarily a reimagining. This is just a way to make it meaningful. And that is to donate to a local food bank or to donate a Thanksgiving basket to a family or an individual in need. And Georgie says, what she'll miss is after we're all done with dinner. She gathers her grandchildren and nieces together to give them their special personalized ornament that she purchased just for them. Georgie, that sounds like such a beautiful tradition. And I love that it's an ornament and it kicks off the next holiday season and it kind of ties those two together. What a beautiful tradition. And, maybe there are still ways, right, that we can connect with those people, whether it's via screens. I'm sure you'll probably be shipping maybe some gifts this year to people, and I know it's going to look and feel different. And that's a beautiful, special tradition. And I know there are ways that we can still have those things work for us this year. So we just get through this year, and next year, hopefully, things will look a little more like we want them to, right? We'll have that comfort, we'll have that familiarity, we'll have that predictability in all the ways that we think about it, right? Okay, so tip number 2, giving back. Giving back is always a way to make this holiday, particularly that is around Thanksgiving and feeling grateful and feeling gratitude and counting our blessings, being able to pay those things forward, donating to a local food bank, a food pantry, or making a Thanksgiving basket for a family or an individual in need. I know that's something that Scott and I do every year, is always contribute to local food banks. I will talk a little bit about the charity this week a little bit later in the show. But this is a time, and this is a particularly challenging season for those kinds of nonprofits and charities. The demand on them is greater than ever this year. So I would encourage us all to think about how we might be able to pay our own blessings forward with a donation to a local food bank or a family in need this Thanksgiving. All right. And that leads into my tip number 3, you guys. My tip number 3. All right. Today is November 16th. Thanksgiving is on November 26th. So it is 10 days. 10 days, you guys, till Thanksgiving. 10 days. So we're going to do a little countdown to Thanksgiving. All right. 10 days. Now, we count down on our fingers, right? What do these hands also look like, right? Jazz hands. What do these also look like? And I want, maybe some of you saw my Facebook posts from a little bit earlier. Maybe some of you guys are going back to your kindergarten and preschool years. But what did we used to do with our hands at Thanksgiving time in like art classes and crafts projects, right? These also make great turkey shapes. Turkey shapes. All right, you guys. So I want to do a countdown to Thanksgiving, and with something that I'm calling, and I totally made this up, you guys. So if it's corny and cheesy, just, let me know. If you think it's sweet and adorable, send up a bunch of hearts and let me know. But you guys, I'm calling them gratitude turkeys. Gratitude turkeys. And I want to share some traced gratitude turkey shapes from my own house this year. I'll give you one guess whose hands these are. Okay, this is mine. This is Scott's. And you can do gratitude turkeys however you want. If there's, more than 2 people in your family, there can be all different kinds of gratitude turkeys. If it's just you can use both of your own hands and do your gratitude turkeys for your countdown to Thanksgiving. But it involves tracing your hand, and then, we're going to make our little turkey faces. We'll draw our beaks and our little eyes and our little legs, and they're going to have short, stubby little legs. Our turkeys have big bodies, short, stubby legs till we get them on the paper. But gratitude turkeys, you guys, 10 days to Thanksgiving, 10 fingers on our individual hands, or if we're part of a couple and we want to do one of each person's hands, which is what Scott and I are doing. And yes, I asked him to do all these silly little things. And this is a new tradition that we are going to start in our household as we are reimagining Thanksgiving for us this year. And we're starting tomorrow. So what I want you guys to do, trace your hands, all right, 10 days, countdown to Thanksgiving. If you're in a couple and you want to do one of each person's hand, trace those. If you want to do just your own hands and do your own gratitude turkeys, then do those. If this is something we could do with a parent or a grandchild or whoever, right? Or just our own hands. But we're going to do a 10-day countdown to Thanksgiving with our gratitude turkeys. And we're going to make our little turkeys and draw our faces and our beaks and whatever, their little stubby legs. And then starting tomorrow, for each day that we count down to Thanksgiving, right, on one of our turkey feathers, we are going to write something that we are grateful for. And we are going to be specific about it, right? So we, we see these Thanksgiving gratitude challenges that come up every November, right? And people kind of say, oh, my family, my health, my fur baby is my home, the roof over my head, excuse me, whatever those things may be, right? But let's get specific. Let's get specific this year and really, kind of make these reflect our 2020, because we've given 2020 a lot of backlash this year. But I bet we can count on our turkey feathers. I bet we can count on our turkey feathers some good things that have also happened this year. Because even with the bad, and I know that there are some of us out there who have suffered loss this year, and this is not to discount that in any way. It is real and it is painful. And I still know that there are things that we can be grateful for and blessings that we can count and that we can list out, that we can write down and remind ourselves of the good in the people in our lives, in the things that have happened in one way or another this year. They're still good to be thankful for. And what Scott and I are doing to make ours have that little different twist. So the reason why there's one of each of our hands in these. So I'm doing my own gratitude list on my hand. But then when I get to Scott's hand, each one of the turkey feathers or the turkey, head in Scott's hand, I'm going to write one thing each day that I am grateful for about him. So if you do this with a significant other or a special person in your life, a child, a grandchild, one hand is for your gratitude, one thing a day. The other hand, make it one thing that you're grateful for about that person every single day. Or if you want to do your own 10 fingers gratitude turkey countdown to Christmas, it will just be both hands, your list. But you can mix it up and do it in a couple different ways. But that's how we're doing it at our house. One hand is going to be our own gratitude list, and we did 2 of these. So there's going to be, Scott will have his and do, his hand, his list, and then he'll do 5 things he's grateful for about me. I hope he can come up with that many. And then I will do my list and 5 things that I am grateful for about him. And that is how we're going to mix it up, reimagine Thanksgiving, and start a new Thanksgiving tradition in our house this year. So I hope that some of you will decide to do that, and it will also, it's that comfort, familiarity, that kind of silliness, right? Going back to our, younger days, and some of us have, children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, right? That we can maybe share that idea with as well. So I would love to see your gratitude turkeys at some point after Thanksgiving, or if you want to share, your gratitude turkeys in progress. But that is a new tradition that we are starting this year and that I wanted to share with all of you tonight as we are reimagining Thanksgiving. All right. I mentioned number 4 already, and I've also talked about this before in other episodes about ways that we can still make the most of connecting with the people that we love during this pandemic, and that is a virtual dinner party. And we can do that in a couple different ways, right? We can do Zoom, we can do FaceTime. There's a lot of different technology platforms, right, to connect. And you can do it, you can just do it like a double date. Donna and Don and Scott and I did a double date for Shark Week virtual dinner party. And we set up our iPads and, hung out with each other during Shark Week this year. And we had our little menus and we did our thing, right? And there are ways that we can do those kinds of things and still, connect with the people that we love and share some special memories during this season that looks a little different than usual, right? So, virtual dinner party. And my one suggestion for making that a little fun is that maybe, everybody is cooking their own menus or their own foods, of course, in their own house, but that every household that's participating, one dish is the same, that you're cooking one dish from the same recipe. And if I may make the suggestion, I have a signature bourbon cranberry compote that I mentioned earlier in the episode that I would share the recipe for. And so I'm going to do that now. You guys, it is super simple. It is 5 ingredients. I'm not going to go through the like half cup, quarter cup. The specific measurements will be in the recipe that will go in the show notes and go live tomorrow on the website. But it's simple 5 ingredients, y'all. 5 ingredients: cranberries, sparkling cider, wait. Okay, yeah. I'm conflating 2 different holiday cocktails. Sorry. Cranberries, sparkling cider, bourbon, sugar, and my secret ingredient for this compote to just give it a little bit of creaminess and a little bit of texture in the flavor, Madagascar vanilla. You guys, a little hint of Madagascar vanilla. 5 ingredients, super simple, bourbon cranberry compote. I will share the specific measurements in the show notes, but that is it, y'all. 5 simple ingredients. You'll never use the canned stuff again, I hope. All right, but a virtual dinner party. Regardless of what you're cooking, one dish is the same, and then you guys can share your take on it. You know, like, do you guys love it? Did you not love the recipe? And one suggestion is my signature cranberry bourbon compote recipe. All right, tip number 5 for reimagining the Thanksgiving holiday and the sort of extended Thanksgiving holiday weekend, right? Because for many of us, Thanksgiving is typically like a 4-day affair, or even longer as it extends through the week if we're traveling typically and visit family, right? Sometimes it goes even longer. So my next tip is about skipping Black Friday this year. You guys, skipping the Black Friday rushes to the stores and the throngs and crowds of people and all the things, right? If we're talking about ways to reimagine, to celebrate more safely, to do things a little bit differently this year, let's forego the Black Friday holiday shopping. And there's a great new tradition that the outdoor company REI started a few years ago, and they called it Opt Outside. So it's about opting out of the traditional sort of Black Friday craziness, right? And this is a retailer. This is a national retailer with hundreds of locations across the country, right? REI closes their doors on Black Friday. They are closed on Black Friday. They give their employees the day off, and they've created this campaign called Opt Outside. And they do the hashtag, so it's hashtag opt outside. And it's about taking that day, and instead of the retail craziness and all of the consumerism, and we just had this whole day dedicated to being thankful for what we have. And then we have this day that is a mad rush to get the cheapest big screen TV we can find, right? So they take the gratitude a little bit, one day farther. They close their stores, give their employees the day off, and have created this campaign, Opt Outside, to give people a day to get outside with their families, with their friends, connect with nature, and keep the holiday celebration going with a little bit more peace of mind, peace of heart, peace and quiet, right, out in nature. So if that sounds like a fun way to spend Black Friday to you, send up some hearts for REI and the hashtag Opt Outside campaign, because I can tell you, I have not done a Black Friday in-person sale, and I can't even tell you the last time I've been in a store on Black Friday. I do some online shopping, of course, and I do my own Black Friday online special for my own online boutique. But yeah, the stores, not my thing, even when there's not a pandemic, you guys, even when there's not a pandemic. All right, so opting outside. Number 6, this is another hashtag campaign, you guys, another hashtag campaign, and that is participating in Giving Tuesday. And many of you may already know what Giving Tuesday is. Maybe some of you don't. It is a nationwide charity campaign that takes place on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving every year. So you know how like we just talked about the Thanksgiving holiday is spread way out. You've got Thanksgiving and then Black Friday, and then there's Small Business Saturday. You get the day off on Sunday, and then there's like Cyber Monday. So the charity community banded together and came up with this idea of Giving Tuesday. And it is a national campaign to help kick off the season of giving, right? And get people contributing online to charities in their local communities or all across the country who are doing important work. And it's hashtag Giving Tuesday. Also, givingtuesday.org if you want to read more about it. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of charities with pages on the givingtuesday.org website, or you can just go to your local charities website on that day on Giving Tuesday. A lot of them are running Giving Tuesday campaigns. A lot of places have major donors who match contributions that come in on Giving Tuesday to help drive donations on that one special day. So Giving Tuesday, you guys, hearts, big hearts, lots of hearts for being charitable, giving, and kicking off the holiday season with paying our blessings forward to others. All right. And my last tip that I want to share is really about reimagining Thanksgiving, right? Reimagining Thanksgiving, because we typically think about this holiday in particular as it's contained within the borders of our own dining room tables. And I'd like us to reimagine a little bit broader this year, right? A little bit broader than our own dining room tables. And think about Thanksgiving as all of us being connected, right? Especially in 2020, as we're talking about CDC guidelines for celebrating safely and, traveling and all of the things, right? Thanksgiving is really about the ways in which we are all connected, in which we are grateful for our common good, our common humanity. So I'm asking that we reimagine Thanksgiving from just our own dining room tables this year and thinking about our broader communities, all of us being connected, right? And especially that this is a secular holiday. People talk about this being like the one big non-religious holiday of the year, right? And I actually think, it may do some people's hearts good to think about it as a holiday of faith, of all faiths. This is the one that everybody comes to the table for, you guys. This is the inclusive holiday. So if we want to think about a faith holiday, this might be the one, especially when we're sending up blessings of gratitude and thankfulness and paying it forward and kicking off a season of giving. So I want us to reimagine Thanksgiving in that way this year, which leads me to, I want to end by asking one more trivia question, and then I'm going to share this week's charity. So we're talking about, reimagining traditions, right? One big American tradition is the official pardoning of the White House turkey, right? Who remembers the turkey pardons at the White House every year? So the last trivia question of this episode is, which president officially started the annual tradition of pardoning the White House Thanksgiving turkey? Which president officially started the annual tradition of pardoning the White House Thanksgiving turkey? All right, you guys, give me your guesses in the comments, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this week's charity while you guys are guessing which president started the turkey pardon tradition officially. And there's a reason why I say officially there. Okay, so this week's charity, you guys, is called Food for Others. And it is a charity that you may have heard me talk about before because it was one of the hunger charities that we've contributed to in the past when the pandemic was making it apparent that there was an even greater demand on our local food banks. And Food for Others is a Northern Virginia-based charity. It's, again, one of those organizations that's doing good work here in my own backyard, serving families all across Northern Virginia. And what I love about Food for Others, they not only have their warehouse distribution center, they have 17 neighborhood sites where they distribute food to families and individuals in need. And what I love most about Food for Others is, you guys, they don't ask any qualification questions. As long as you are, at their neighborhood distribution site, the only question they ask is how many people are in your household. So they know how much food to put in the box, right? How much food to put in the box. Their warehouse distribution, they take referrals from social service organizations and things like that. There are particular, guidelines around the prescriptions for food. They are participants in the prescriptions for food program as well, with some local physicians and hospital centers. But families and individuals who just come to one of their 17 neighborhood distribution sites, all they ask is, how many people are in your family? So they know how much food to give them. And I love that about Food for Others, you guys. So that is this week's charity. We're talking about Thanksgiving Reimagined. We are talking about ways that we feed each other and nurture each other. And Food for Others nurtures our community, you guys. And I'm so, so proud that they are our charity this week. All right, so let's send up some hearts for Food for Others. I am going to look at the guesses for which president started the turkey pardon tradition. We have a guess for Teddy Roosevelt. We have a guess for Harry S. Truman. And I will share that both of those guesses are incorrect. Incorrect. Nico, your streak is broken. Your winning streak is broken. But the reason why I said officially is that while JFK, John F. Kennedy, was actually the first president to do it, he was the first president who ever pardoned a turkey. The official tradition started in 1989 with President George H.W. Bush and has been a tradition every year since then. Kennedy did it first, but the ongoing tradition started in 89 with George Bush Sr., you guys. George Bush Sr. in 89. All right. I have a list of a few resources that I'm going to share also in the show notes tomorrow. A book about Thanksgiving, 2 of my favorite things to watch on TV during the Thanksgiving season. I will share the measurements for my Cranberry Bourbon Compote recipe. And I will also share a website that is an online gratitude journal site and place to share your gratitude and blessings in the online space as well. All right, you guys, that is our show tonight. Thank you so much for coming together with me to reimagine Thanksgiving, to share your traditions with me, to play some fun trivia, and, start our own tradition, right? I want to do a Thanksgiving episode of Sparked every single year. And I think every year is going to look a little bit different. This is what it looks like this year. We're reimagining. Thank you for being here. Next week, we will be right back here, same time, same place, for our Hygge and Happiness episode that was rescheduled from November 9th. And then on the last Monday of the month, as always, we will be talking about our Let's Get Lit book club selection, which this month is 100 Ways to Be Kind, because 'tis the season, you guys. 'Tis the season. All right. I hope you all enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Thank you all so, so much for being here. I love you all. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves. And I will see you next week. Have a great rest of your week. Good night, everyone.